Alright everyone, so today we're going to clean a Nintendo 64 that we purchased from a retro video game store. I think I got this for $65. Pretty good deal. It works and it's not all scratched up or gouged or anything, but it does smell very bad. It smells like tar. I guess it came from a household where somebody was smoking. And if you can see very well inside here, there's a lot of dust and dirt. So I'm gonna take this apart, clean it, and give you some recommendations along the way of how we're gonna do this. So to start, I'm gonna use some canned air after we've got it open to blow particles and dust out of the way. I don't recommend using a air compressor. Could be too much air, could damage something, but this is usually pretty good. Also, gonna have a Phillips head screwdriver and one of these. This tool right here you can purchase off of Amazon. I think I bought a kit for like 10 bucks. It wasn't very much, but anyhow, there's a special screw on the bottom of the Nintendo 64. Different consoles use these, and you'll need this type of a screwdriver to be able to remove it. I'll put a link in the description of the video so that you know where you can purchase these from, but again, they're not very much money, but it will be needed to take this apart. Also, what we're going to do before we take this apart, this thing, like I said, it's pretty grimy. I'm going to just spray it down real quick with some disinfectant spray just to kind of kill everything that's on the outside of this. Like I said, it doesn't look bad probably in the video, but it's pretty nasty. So we're going to spray everything down, let that soak for, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 seconds, and then we will wipe it off and start disassembling it. Okay, now we're back. We've disinfected the outside of the console shell as well as the controller that goes with it. We also got the controller, so when I purchased this, it came with the console, the controller, the AC pack, and the audio video cable. So we'll start disassembling this. I'm going to start by just taking off the cover for the expansion pack, and then flip it over, take the other cover off the bottom. Now I've got some soapy water prepared that you'll see in a minute, and I'm just going to go ahead and set these inside so that they can be soaking, because we're going to wash this down really good once we get it all taken apart. And we'll just pop the expansion pack out of the front here, or the memory pack, I mean. Let's see. That's looking a little better. There we go. Okay. Now, one thing too I want to mention while I take this apart, if you can see this, I've seen a number of videos where a lot of people use these rubber mats, and that's fine and dandy. It keeps things from moving around whenever you're working on them, and they've got these little recesses in the sides where you can put screws. But I really prefer to use these magnetic trays. If you can get these from any parts store, hardware store, Home Depot, whatever, you name it, you can get these. Harbor Freight sells them. They're not very much money. And what I'll do is, while I'm taking out the screws, I'll start in the top left corner and I'll put the groups together as I go across and then down. That way, whenever I go to put it back together, I just start at the end and work my way back, and I know that everything's going back together in the same order. So just a tip for how I do this. You can do it however works best for you. So once we have those screws taken out, and there are 6 of these, we're going to flip it back over, pull the top off, and what we're going to do, we're going to work on taking the top part of this apart so that we can clean it a little bit better. So we'll use our Phillips head screwdriver to take out these. Another thing to note here is, some people like to use electric drills to take these apart, and I don't really like using anything with power when it comes to plastic, because it can snap really easy. I prefer just using my hands. I'm going to pop off the buttons. And then they've just got little clips, if you can see it here. You just squeeze them together and push forward and they come out. It's pretty simple. So a lot of dirt and grime in here. I'm going to dump this out in the trash can really quick. Okay. So we're going to take off the screws that go around the AC adapter port and the audio video port. All 4 of these screws for both plastic pieces are the same. Okay, now we're going to start taking apart. If you'll notice, there's, I believe it's 5 screws that go down through the top that holds the board. Okay, we've got those out. Now I'm going to go through and start taking off. There's like a bunch of little metal plates that overlap one another down through here. So we'll start taking these off. Now there's some really tiny screws here that goes in the expansion pack port, and it holds down this little piece of metal trim here. Very fine screws, and you're going to need a one of these micro Phillips screwdrivers. I'm not sure what size this is, but in the pack that I purchased this specialty screwdriver for the Nintendo, this one actually came with it, so it'll be in the link there where you can purchase that. Now we're going to start taking off the screws on this heat sink. Okay, now we got this last piece of the shield. We're going to take these screws out. Okay, now this is just going to lift up out of here. We've got this little part, I'm going to wash it. If we flip this over, we can get our other, the other shield from the bottom of the board off. This is going to be washed as well. Okay, so we've got everything disassembled, at least as far as, pretty much as far as I want to take it as far as the housing goes. We're gonna, these little clips go in here. They've got threaded holes on the bottom. I think that these were made originally for that disk drive system that was manufactured for the 64. So these would have been threaded to be on the bottom, so that you could screw up into the bottom of it. But anyhow, we're gonna put this to the side. These are going to go into our bath here in a minute to get washed off. And then I'm going to remove this. This is the cartridge reader. And I'm taking it off because they used to get pretty filthy from, and especially the way this thing looks, I can't help but imagine how dirty this is going to be inside here. So we're just going to slowly pull up on this until it comes off. Just go wiggle it on each side a little bit at a time, and it'll come right off. There we go. All right. Oh yeah. So we're going to set this to the side. This is going to be cleaned by itself along with this in a moment. Now we're going to clean. We're going to put the actual case inside the dish detergent and clean it up. So we've just got a mix of Dawn dishwashing detergent and water. We're going to set everything inside. I've already got the other pieces in here. It's a shame you guys can't get the full experience and really smell this thing.
Dead bunnies.
Okay, now we got our board here. As you can see, a lot of dust, dirt, grime, everything. So I'm going to spray this off in another room so we don't get the mess all over the place. And then we'll come back with some Q-tips and alcohol and kind of go over it as good as we can to clean up everything. Okay, so we've got this blown off pretty well here. Now we're going to go through wipe some areas down with alcohol. I'll also clean up these controller ports with alcohol, get that cleaned up as good as we can here.
Dead bunnies.
Now we can start the reassembly process.
Dead bunnies.
Okay, you guys, so here it is. We installed our expansion pack. Picked that up for 50 bucks from a retro video game store. So we got it cleaned up pretty good. What I'm going to do now, what I wanted to show you guys is a product that I purchased from Amazon. This is called Tire and Trim Gel Plastic and Trim Restorer from Chemical Guys. So what this does, it's kind of like a very thick version of WD-40. It works great on plastic. I used it on, I'll show you a Sega Saturn that I cleaned up. This thing had scuffs all over it, and I ended up just very lightly going over it with a magic eraser, just enough to get the scuff marks off, and then I went over it with this stuff, and it turned out really well. So I'm going to show you how to use this, and I purchased this on Amazon, by the way. I think it was $15, and I'll put a link to this in the description as well, but I really like this product. So one thing to take into consideration here This is very thick. A little bit goes a long way. So you're just going to put a little bit on a microfiber cloth. And what I do is I have two cloths. I have one that I apply it with and wipe it off, and then I have another one that I go back and kind of rub it to polish it a little bit afterwards. So just see, I just put a little bit on here to where it gets wet, and then you're just going to start rubbing it into the plastic. So once you have it on there, then I'm going to just lightly go over it with the same cloth, then go back with the dry cloth, and just do like a final wipe down, if you will. It looks good on gray, but you know, on black it really makes it shine. So as you can see, really makes the plastic look nice. And there you have it. There's the Nintendo 64 cleaned, polished up, and we'll give it a test run to make sure everything works appropriately.